And now a roundtable discussion on pro gaming, brought to you by Newegg.com.
Perfect. This one's going to start with you, BDS. We've been talking about Counter-Strike obviously being the king of the hill right now in regards to the game we're all playing. It's been used for obviously several years, both competitively or just look at the server counts. I mean, everybody's playing it, you know. And we've always heard, okay, this game's coming out and it's going to dethrone CS. Oh, everyone's going to jump on this bandwagon, and it has not materialized. So two-part question is, anything on the horizon that you think will come out that you know of or concept-wise you've heard of that's going to be the next team play game that we're all going to want to jump on? And what makes Counter-Strike so popular, and not so much to the kid playing it at home in his basement in a pub, but what makes it so popular for teams other than the money? Because there's only so many teams that really at big lands are going to have a chance to win money, but a lot of other teams come to events like this. So what's grabbing everybody?
To answer your first question, I think most are waiting for Half-Life 2 and Counter-Strike 2, and I think we have been waiting for those games for quite a while now. So I really hope that will be as good as the old Half-Life engine. And what was the second question?
The second part of the question was what's so fascinating to all of us about Counter-Strike that is keeping us so excited for so long?
I think one main reason is that it's quite easy for new players to get good. I mean, if you start to play Quake World or Quake 3 in the beginning, you don't stand a chance to anyone. If you are a new player who playing Counter-Strike, you can take out the best player in the world, and I mean that makes you go like, I want to be even better in this game. I think that's a key feature to why so many people are playing it. And when many people are playing it, it gets more serious, you get more tournaments, you get more money, and that's why it's so big.
I also agree. Half-Life 2, Counter-Strike 2. Like, if anyone's going to dethrone Counter-Strike, it's going to be those games because, you know, they're very close. Same community, you know, the same demographics and numbers. And in terms of why Counter-Strike is popular, as you said, a very easy learning curve. Anyone could be pretty decent at this game with just a few hours of playing it. But let's not take credit away from, you know, the top players in the world. Like, they have an enormous amount of skill. Just because it's easy for a newbie doesn't mean it's going to be easy for them to play, you know, a top player in a match or something. Yeah, you could kill a Heathen in a pub.
Exactly.
But let's say you kill his whole team in a match. You know, that's two different stories. But it's, you know, it's got an easy learning curve. It's fun. Like, you know, you die in a round, then you think about, hold on, maybe if I throw a flashbang there, I could get him next round. And you're always striving to do better. You know, you want to keep going at it. And, you know, and it's built such a big community. It's like, why leave such a great thing? That's one of the reasons why I keep thinking, why is this game so popular?
Exactly. And Martin?
Game-wise, HL2 and CS2. Maybe Condition Zero, depending on the gameplay it has, and CPL might have to motivate it a little bit more to see if it's a better spectator sport than the one we have now. As for why CS is so popular as it is, I have to say that a lot of people probably do it just because the people they play it with they've been friends for a long time. They either started playing Counter-Strike all together back in '99, or when the first beta came out, they formed a clan and decided to stick to it. Other than that, they just want to meet new people with the same interests as they have. And when you get really to it, there might not be a really number one reason why CS is so popular, because it could be a mystery till anything comes out. So as more games come out, bigger communities are going to form. So there's really no sense in trying to think it through. It's just going to happen.
I really agree with everything that's already been said. Half-Life 2, Counter-Strike 2, Team Fortress 2, to be released in the year 2037, I believe. So, but you know, games like that, something like that, I think will come along. And as far as why CS is so popular, these guys have really hit the nail on the head. So,
makes sense. Now, obviously, it is so popular, and being that it is so popular, we've got tournaments bigger and better. You know, they're not really competing in the sense they're not picking the same dates. They're all being pretty good about that, so the top guys can go to all these different events. But obviously, more and more big organizations are starting to emerge, which is great for all of us. But with that comes slightly different rule sets, slightly different tweaks of how seedings are done for those. So, again, do they need to get all on board so a team like SK or 3D is consistently ranked worldwide, or should it be, okay, if they're a European clan and it's a European event where it might be max rounds 15, it might be ghosting, those kind of things, should they be kept seeding separately, or should they be kept kind of within each organization's world? Like, prime example is CPL bases most of their seeding on past CPLs. Some people think that's absolutely perfect because they can keep an eye on those teams. Others disagree and say, wait a minute, that's not necessarily the best people in the world right now on this list. It should be seated differently. So why don't you start that one off?
Well, to unify seating, I think, would be very, very difficult because while you can easily say, if you have, say, 20 Counter-Strike teams and you know what their caliber and level of play is, when you talk about a variety of events, a variety of leagues, a variety of competitions, some may have teams that are not as good as others. And so to have seeding kind of unified across all leagues, that implies that the level of talent, the level of quality, and the players are all the same for all those different leagues and all those different events. And we're not quite there yet. Would it be nice? Certainly, but I really don't think we'll see unified seating across, CPL, WCG, so on and so forth. Now, WCG or ESWG or whoever may look and say, well, this sounds like this team might be a good seed for third seed or whatever, and they may make those kind of judgment calls. But to see it unified, I think, would be difficult.
Yeah, I think so too. The main problem with the unified seeding system is that someone has to judge which tournament is the most important one. I mean, is CPL, how much more important is CPL compared to ESWC and so on? The bad thing with having one seeding for each tournament is that in the Counter-Strike scene, teams are changing, players are changing. Like 6 months ago, T9 was a great team. They don't exist anymore, so they're here with a new sponsor. So it's hard to keep on. Like Mouse Sports, for example, is a better example. They're not gonna hit. They're not here now, but they were seeded 4, and they have a total different team. I mean, so that's the problem. But I still think the way CPL does it is the best. It's like you can not much to talk about it.
Basically, the best you can do with the system in place.
Yeah, I think so.
That makes sense.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's not a major issue with the CPL anymore because of our new format with the CPL event in the summer and in the winter in North America and one in Europe in spring and fall. So you're gonna have, main tournaments every quarter season, every 3 months, and it's gonna give you a good idea, and the problem is, some other people have said already, is the competition in all tournaments aren't the same. Like WCG, and not taking anything away from their great event, but it's like one team from each country. So I think A-Losers won the Swedish qualifier for WCG, I think last year. So that left 7 Swedish teams who could easily be the top 10 teams, in the world. So that leaves so much competition at home. So it wouldn't be fair to base seedings off of other events for the CPL, So I think it's just the way we're doing it now. I think it's fine. There's enough events a year to really get a good idea and a good feel. And it's also an incentive for teams to stay together because, you want to have that good seeding, right? Why work so hard for a year, do amazing at an event, and break up because you didn't come in first? Teams are gonna have to realize you stay together, you keep that good seed, you keep working on that chemistry instead of throwing players around. You're gonna do much better in the long run.
Basically, organizations will promote teams the way they want to, and unified seedings would be pretty good, but you also have to keep in fact that, not only do rosters change a lot, but then you got teams that don't like the clan name they have or the team name, and that creates more problems when you got people trying to do seedings. Yesterday was a match from the 2nd seed and the 63rd seed, and the 63rd seed was 2 rounds off from being the 2nd place seed, and it was only a confusion because the 63rd seed had a different team name, but the roster was the same and had the skill to compete with the 2nd seed. So you got problems where skill could be a little off when you got different clans changing names and rosters, and it just creates a shift in balance that the esports community doesn't really need right now. That's basically it.
I just want to add something to that. Just a little hint, the way the CPL, the way we look at doing things, we're going to start looking at rosters and doing seeding. So you want to jump rosters, you want to drop players, it's going to affect your seeding now. It's the players who make the team, not the name who makes the team.
Exactly. So the name doesn't retain a seeding, which makes sense.
It's something we're looking for the future, with the help of the CPL Europe and stuff, and maybe some other organizations to give us an idea of what's going on.
That makes sense. And then the last question on a slightly different tangent. Obviously, fairly recently, the CPL announced that they're going to finally do a real-time strategy game at the winter. They're doing Warcraft 3 on a competition level. As we all know, it's huge in Asia, those types of games in general. Will it be embraced in a big enough faction to be worth the while? And how do you turn a whole part of the world, let's say the United States and probably to an extent Europe, into spectators of something that it's hard enough with Counter-Strike. How do you make that a spectator-friendly sport? It already is in Asia. How do we make a game like that succeed, which is almost an entirely different dynamic of gamers? Very hardcore gamers, but different gamers. So how do you embrace them and introduce that successfully? And why don't we start with you, Bart?
All right. I haven't really meddled with WC3 in ever. I mean, I've watched it a few times. Never really played it. Spectating-wise, I enjoyed it. I mean, depending on each player's style of play, if it's aggressive or neutral or passive, and it creates some type of atmosphere in the match that might be a little boring for others. But as for it being brought over from Asia to here, you gotta remember that like Asia and other countries around the world have like either specific gaming channels just for that purpose, or their media is just so primary based on computer gaming that it spreads the image a lot faster and to more people. Until the U.S. starts doing that, and with the union of like hopefully more esports sites and putting out a positive image of the esport community, we'll hopefully get the American media into it and they'll help us out with WC3.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's going to be a challenge though to go from FPS to an RTS, and for the CPL to do that at winter for the first time. It's going to be fun, but it is going to be very, very challenging, and a lot of its success will depend on number one, will they have it again, and will it become something, will an RTS become one of the platforms that's competed with at the CPL? And the other thing is, will it get the proper media exposure? Will it be broadcasted? Is there an allure or an attraction to broadcasting WC3 matches? Is there an audience that would listen here in the States as compared to how popular it is overseas? So I think that with the right ingredients and the right formula, it could succeed. But FPSs are wildly popular in the U.S., and to break that or to introduce a different kind of game, and don't get me wrong, I mean, a lot of people like RTS as well. I certainly do. I'm a big fan of Red Alert 2 and some of those games. But FPS is king, I think, right now, and it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Don't have much to add, like my answers.
I might be a little biased because I play Warcraft 3 for fun. It's a fun game, and I love to spectate it and watch it. But there's a reason it's okay. You could argue in Korea and in Asia they have a different culture and they perceive games differently than we do here. But there's a reason that game is so popular, like spectator friendly, and it's just the mechanics of the game, just that overhead view of seeing everything that's going on, how they're gonna attack, and the diverse strategies you have in a game like StarCraft or Warcraft. It's just amazing to watch. How certain players micro all their units, how they place them. You got your range units behind your melee units. It's stuff like that's amazing to watch. And in North America, it is big. It is big, even though we don't, because there hasn't been a league that's come here and said, we'll do a huge money tournament. So it is big here. It's just they haven't had a chance to really expose it. And in Warcraft 3 in North America, I think it's an untapped market, and it's worth the risk of looking into. Maybe not throwing $1 million at it, but it's worth seeing how many players come out and just giving it a shot. No one else is giving it a shot. I think it's time to give it a shot.
Yeah, it's great. It's a bold step they're taking, and it's like you said, it's kind of a sleeping giant of a community. So hopefully they will embrace it, and that will be a continuing platform as well. Because again, it's the same kind of thing. Whether it's an FPS or an RT, any of those different kinds of, I can go into console games, etc. There's the big companies like the Intels and the Nvidia. They're still gamers, so that's still their market. So maybe that keeps them interested. That's about all the time we have in the questions. But gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor to be sitting at the table with you guys. I'm just ecstatic that I was even invited to host this. So thank you very much for taking time out.
No problem.
Good luck to you guys in the tournament, and good luck in the run of the tournament. Good luck in your broadcasting, and good luck in your news posting. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.